Bruchim Abbaim. Bruchim Abbaim. Welcome everybody. We're doing Hilchot Talmud Torah, Perek Zayin, the 7th chapter of the Laws of Torah Study. Hacham Zaken B'Chochmah, a Torah sage who is distinguished for wisdom. V'chen Nasi or Av Beit Din, likewise the Nasi or the Av Beit Din, the head of the court, Shesarach, who behaved badly, behaved shamefully. Ein menadin oto b'farhesia leolam. We never place them under a ban in public. Ele im ken asa ki Yerovam ben Nevat u'v'chaverav. Unless their deeds were like Yerovam ben Nevat and his colleagues, who, according to the Tanakh, they put idolatrous statues in the temple. But if he does other sins, he's punished with stripes privately. Shene'emar, as the verse says, you shall stumble during the day, and the prophet will stumble with you at night. In other words, even though he stumbled, cover him as if it's night. In other words, don't put his deeds in public. V'omrim lo, and they tell the person who sinned, hikaved v'shev bevetach. Keep your honor and stay at home. Or preserve your honor and stay at home. V'chen kol talmid hachamim shenitchayev b'nidui. Likewise, any talmid hachamim, any Torah sage who is required to be banned, asur leveit din likpotz ulenadoto b'mehira. It's forbidden for a court to act quickly and pronounce a ban hastily. Ele burhin min davar ze v'nishmatin mimenu. Rather, rather they should shun the matter and try to avoid it. V'hazdei hachamim ayu mishtabhin, and the pious of the sages would be proud of the fact that shelo nimnu me'olam lenadot talmid hachamim, that they had never participated in the banning of a Torah scholar, af al pi she'nimnin l'halkuto, even though they were participating in giving him stripes, im nitchayev malkut, if he was required to receive stripes. Vafilu makat mardut, even stripes for rebelliousness, which is incurred when someone transgresses a rabbinic law. Nimnin alav lehakoto, they would nevertheless participate in order to give him that punishment. All right, so we've talked about banning in the previous chapter and in this one, and now we're discussing two different forms of banning. The ketzad hu hanidui, what is the ban that we're talking about? Omrim, we say, ploni b'shamta, so and so is ostracized. V'im niduhu b'fanav, and if they performed the ban in his presence, omrim ploni zeh, they say this particular person is banned. Then besides nidui, which is a ban, an ostracism, we also have herem, which is a excommunication. So we have herem, excommunication. To perform that, they say omrim ploni muhram, so and so is excommunicated. And then there's a third thing, which is arur, which means cursed. The arur, when they say so and so is cursed, it includes Allah, bo Allah, it has a curse. Bo shivua, it includes an oath. And bo nidui, and also includes the ban of ostracism that we mentioned before. So that's how you put somebody under a ban. The ketzad matirin hanidui o herem, and how is a ban or an excommunication lifted? Omrim lo, we say to the person who's banned, Sharui lach umahul lach. It's permitted to you, and you are released, and you are forgiven. Ve'im hitiruhu shelo b'fanav, and if they released him not in his presence, omrim ploni sharui lo umahul lo. They say so and so is released, and so is forgiven. Ma hu minhag she'inhog hamenudeh be'atzmo. So, if you're placed under a ban, the ban of ostracism, the lighter one, the nidui, what are you supposed to do? How does it change your life? And v'shanoagim imo, and how are other people supposed to behave towards such a person? So the menudeh, the one who is banned, asul l'saper v'lechabes ka'avel. It's forbidden for such a person to have his hair cut or to wash his clothing, just like a person who is in mourning. Kol yemei niduyo, for the entire period of his banishment. Ve'en mezamnin alav, nor do we, when we're doing Birkat Hamazon, we don't include him in the bracha. V'lo kolelin oto ba'asara l'kol davar shetzarich asara, nor do we include him in a minyan of 10 for anything which requires 10 men. V'lo yoshvin imo, nor do we sit with him be'arba amot, within 4 cubits, roughly 6 feet or 2 meters. Aval shonehu la'acherim. However, he may teach others, v'shonin lo, and he may be taught. V'niskar v'socher, and he may conduct business. He may be paid for work, and he may hire other people. V'im met b'niduyo, and if he dies while he's under this ban, beidin sholhin u'manichin even al arono. Then the Beit Din sends a shaliach, and that shaliach places a stone upon his casket. Kloma, that is to say, shehen rogminoto, as if to say that they're stoning him. Lefi shehu muvdal min hatzibur, because he's separated from the general public. Ve'en tzarich lomar she'en maspidinoto, and needless to say, we don't eulogize him. Ve'en melavin et mitato, nor do we accompany his casket on the way to burial. Yeter alav hamuchram. So far we discussed what the menudeh has to do and what people have to do with regard to him. Now we go to the more severe level of the muchram, the one who's excommunicated. So yeter alav hamuchram, beyond what happens with the banned one, the excommunicated person, she'eno shoneh la'acherim, he may not teach others, ve'en shonin lo, nor may he be taught. Aval shonehu la'atzmo, however, he may teach himself, in other words, go over what he's learned, kedei shelo yishkach talmudo, so that he doesn't forget his teaching. Ve'eno niskar ve'en niskarin lo, and he may not hire or be hired. Ve'en nosin v'notnim imo, and no one may conduct business with him. Ve'en mitaskin imo, same thing. Ela me'at asak kedei parnasato. The only amount of business he may be permitted to conduct is enough just to keep him alive. Somebody was put under one of these bans, and he didn't try to get out of it for 30 days. He didn't ask to be released of it. Then he's put under a ban once again. Yeshav shloshim yom acherim, if he sat another 30 days without asking to be released. He didn't request to be released. Then maharimimoto, then he's excommunicated. בכמה מתירים הנידוי או החרם? How many people are required to release somebody from the ban or from excommunication? בשלושה. It requires a court, so to speak, of three. אפילו הדiotot, even if they were common people and not learned people. ויחיד מומחה, and a single person who's an expert, matira nidui levado. He may release a person from the ban on his own. He doesn't require extra people to help him. ויש לתלמיד להתיר הנידוי או חרם ואפילו במקום הרב. And a Talmid Chachamim, it doesn't say Chachamim here, but that's what it means. The Talmid Chachamim, the Torah sage, can release a person from his ban or from his excommunication, even in front of his Rav. Shlosha shenidu v'alchu lehem. So a court of three people placed somebody under a ban of nidui. B'hazar ze midavar sheniduhu biglalo. And the person they put under the ban repented and of the issue for which he was put under the ban. Ba'in shloshim achirim u'matirino. Then three other people can come and release him of his ban. Mi shelo yada mi nidahu. If somebody was banned but he didn't know who it was who banned him, then yelech etzel nasi v'yatir lo niduya. He can go to the nasi who can release him of his nidui. In our days, we haven't got a nasi, so that's a bit of an issue. Nidui al tnai, a conditional ban. Afilu mipi atzmo, even if he did it himself. In other words, he banned himself. Sarich hafara, it has to be nullified. And how does that happen? Tani hachamim shenida atzmo, a Torah sage who put himself under a ban. Vafilu nida atzmo al dat ploni, even if he put himself under the ban that's conditional on somebody else's consent. Vafilu al davar shehayav alav nidui, even if it was for a matter for which another person would have been correct to put him under a ban of nidui, he can release himself. He can nullify it himself. Now we get a strange one. And this is truly strange. Misha niduhu b'halom. Somebody who dreamt that he was put under a ban. Afilu yada mi nidahu. Even if he knew who in the dream was who put him under the ban. Tzarich asara bnei adam sheshonin alachot latiro mi niduyo. He requires 10 people who know Torah law properly in order to release him from the ban. V'im lo matzah, but if he wasn't able to find 10 people who know halacha properly, toreh achareihem ad parsa. He has to, in other words, he didn't find them in his immediate area. He has to he has to go up to a Persian mile, which is like about 4 kilometers, in search of such people. All right, lo matzah. He didn't find them in that area. Then matirin lo asara sheshonin mishnah. Then if he can find 10 people who study Mishnah properly, they can release him. Lo matzah, he didn't find even those 10 people. Matirin lo mishi yodi'in likrot b'Torah. Then 10 people who know how to read the Torah properly, can release him. Lo matzah, he's in a place where really everybody knows nothing. You couldn't find them. Matirin lo afilu asara she'enan yodi'in likrot. Then even 10 who are unable to even read can release him. Lo matzah bimkomo asara matirin lo afilu shlosha. If he couldn't find even in his place even 10 people who couldn't read, he can settle for just 3 to release him. I find this entire halacha quite strange, but it is what it is. Okay. Mi sheniduhu b'fanav, someone who was banned in his presence. Ein matirin lo ela bifanav. If, in other words, if a ban was placed upon him in person, it has to be released in person. Niduhu shelo bifanav. If he was banned not in his presence, matirin lo ben bifanav ben shelo bifanav. Then he can either be released of it in his presence or remotely. Ve'en ben nidui lahafara klum, and the time between person being put under a ban and being released of the ban is nothing. Ela menadinu matirin berega echad. Rather, one can be put under a ban and released of it immediately. Once the person who was banned returns to proper behavior. Ve'im ra'u beidin l'haniach ze b'neduyo kama shanim manichim kafi rish'o. But if the court sees fit that this person should be put under a ban for several years, they can do that according to however bad this person is. V'chen, likewise, im ra'u bedin lahrim leze lechatchila. If they saw initially that they should put him under excommunication rather than going through a process of putting him in a ban and waiting 30 days and so forth. If they saw initially that this guy needs to be excommunicated, and to also excommunicate anybody who eats and drinks with him, or to excommunicate anybody who is within 4 cubits of him. Then they can excommunicate him in order to cause him hardship. So that they create a fence around the Torah so it will not be violated by sinners. Even though a Torah sage has permission to ban people for the sake of his own honor, I believe we said this last week as well. It's not praiseworthy for a Torah scholar to behave in this way and to ban people. Rather, he should ignore the statements of the common people who say things that for which they could be banned. And he should ignore them. Like that which King Solomon said in his wisdom. Also, do not pay heed to all the words that are spoken. Likewise, the manner of the pious of the early generations was they could hear people shaming them, but they wouldn't answer them back. Not only that, they would pardon and forgive the person who insulted them. The sages would take pride in their pleasant deeds and say that they would that never did they ever ban anybody or excommunicate anybody for their own honor's sake. And this is the proper manner of the sages, which is worthy to be followed. However, in which case does this apply? When the person spurned or embarrassed them in private. But if they did this in public, it's forbidden for him to forgo his honor. V'imahal ne'nash. And if he did forgive them, he's punished. Why? Mipnei shezeh bizyon Torah. Because this is disrespecting the Torah, and therefore he does not have the reshut, he doesn't have permission to forego the honor. Aval, rather, instead, aval nokem v'notir harbe kanahash. Rather, he should seek vengeance and carry enmity about the matter like a snake. Ad shivakesh mimeno mihila, until the person requests his forgiveness, and then v'islach lo, then he should forgive him. And that's the end, in fact, of the Talmud Torah. Next week, we will be going to the laws of Avodah Zarah v'chukot hagoyim.